The fulfillment of your purpose and vision is your unique standard of excellence as a spiritual woman founder, owner, and lead visionary. Grounding yourself to align with that is a non-negotiable. And that's why today I'll be teaching you how to do so in today's video. Hi, my name is Naomi Olutayo, and I am your resident brand strategist. I work with spiritual women founders of product-based businesses, specifically beauty and consumer goods companies, to realign their vision to mirror the highest vision that God has given them. And today I want to talk to you about how to ground yourself after you have lost track of your vision, if you've lost track of your purpose, or if you've lost track of your purpose. Now, just to get down to the basics, I want to get you to understand what it means to lose sight of your purpose and vision, because that is the heartbeat of your brand. Your purpose is the heartbeat of your brand, and your vision is the sight. What does it mean for your heartbeat to be irregular as a brand? What does it mean for your sight to be off as a brand? When you lose sight of your purpose specifically, it ultimately means that you've conformed. I always tell my clients and my subscribers that there is no other brand but the brand that exists in the highest form of its potential and mirrors its God-ordained vision and purpose. So to deviate from your purpose, the heartbeat, is to conform. Conformity can look like copying different strategies. It can look like having a misaligned purpose, or targeting something that is not in alignment with what you're supposed to be targeting as a brand, which function is impact and magnetism and attraction, by the way. I have a video about that. I'll link it above and below. Losing track of your purpose can also mean you as a founder neglecting yourself and not allowing this business or this company to serve you as much as you have served it and the customers attached to it. To lose sight of your vision is to look at your brand and what you've built and to feel how it feels to own it and see how people are responding to it. And it's not looking anything like it was supposed to look like in the vision that you initially had, or the vision of what you've seen in the spirit, or what was divinely inspired in your heart. Once you get in that area, I always see it. Your brand either floats into obscurity, or your brand just lacks this essence about it that will take it from where it is in terms of a marketing standpoint, as well as a social standpoint, and what it means to own your brand and to take part of this company as a customer. When you lose sight of your purpose or your vision, what tends to happen, or what always happens, is that it starts to show up in your messaging, in your marketing, and in your internal functions as a company. It's the case because your brand is lacking alignment. And I would like to clarify that if you're watching this video, I know that you did not start your company or your brand for a frivolous reason. I know you did not start this company just to get rich off of people who are, I don't know, they may not be as knowledgeable about what they're buying, or maybe they just exist in lack, so they're purchasing things to fulfill a need. I know that your company was started because you had an idea to fulfill a gap, to solve a problem, or to create a function through which change can be made through culture, through the industry, through the world, whatever it is. And if that's the case, then misalignment will be your greatest downfall as a brand. Because to be misaligned is to shut off the innate, attractive energy that your brand has. Imagine if Fenty Beauty, Rihanna, she woke up one day and felt like, you know what, I'm feeling like I need to be a little bit more agreeable because I haven't seen what I've been done. I'm not seeing what I'm doing be done before. Imagine if before she even launched her 49 shade ranges, I believe it was 49, but imagine if even before she launched those shade ranges, she decided to just cut it short. Either cut it short or maybe not invest in the quality as much for the darker or the deeper tones for the foundation. what would you think would have happened to her brand? It definitely would not have taken off immediately as it did, and it definitely would not have been the driving instigator for so many other brands after her launch to now listen to consumers and say, hey, we need to keep up because the standard has increased. I always refer to Fenty because I look at Rihanna's brand as the tone setter. I always tell my clients, like, you're building a brand that sets the tone. And I can only imagine that Rihanna being in the entertainment and fashion industry for so long, realizing how disadvantaged she was because of how many brands refused to cater to Black people in this century. And I think that was just crazy. So for her to do something that shouldn't have been crazy, but for the time it was super crazy to have a shade range that big. And for her to make something of quality, that's big. And that made everybody in her industry step it up. So many other brands now, I'm off the top of my mind, I'm thinking of, I believe, Clinique and Rare Beauty by Selena Gomez. Those are two ones that I can think of off the top of my head, but right after they started to come out with lines that reflected Rihanna's revolution. Inclusivity, true inclusivity, and quality. So you, as a spiritual woman founder who was purposed to birth this revolutionary, trailblazing, and a brand that no one has necessarily seen before, or taking risks that people have never experienced before, alignment is your standard of excellence. And that's why it's so imperative to ground yourself after realizing that your brand may have taken a different course than its direct mirroring of the vision that you were divinely inspired to create. To ground yourself, the first thing I'm going to need you to do is to remember who you are. Because if you remember who you are and you embody who you are always meant to be, then externally things are going to begin to shift. You're going to start feeling weird when you are launching this product that really has nothing to do with where you're going in terms of vision. You're going to start to feel weird when you look at your marketing channels and it looks exactly like everybody else's. You're going to start to feel weird when you go to test out a new clothing option from your manufacturer and the quality just isn't there. You're going to feel weird when you're sitting at night laying in bed feeling like, yeah, I'm just kind of done with this. I want to just drop the ball and everything, or maybe even thinking of selling. And when you remember who you are, it's going to feel weird because you're not supposed to be here. You know what I mean? You were never supposed to build a brand that just followed the trends and rode the coattail of the brands that were impactful, led and went first, and set the tone for their industry and their customers. That's supposed to be you. So what I'm going to need you to do before we move on to anything else is just remember who you are. What has God promised you? When you were little, what were you dreaming about? What skills and qualities and creative visions and innovations do you have that's still resting inside of you that you haven't fully birthed out yet because it didn't seem feasible, because it seemed crazy, you didn't have the support for it, or your brain just kind of morphed to something else because that's just the nature of how business goes sometimes. Who are you? And what are you holding within you? What are you holding in your womb, in your mind, that should be expressed through this vessel of brand and business that would change the game and the entire course of the way that your brand is going? After that, to ground yourself, I want you to remember your original vision, and that's will be found through your womb, and that will be found through your spiritual vision. Some may call it the pineal gland, your third eye, whatever, your spiritual eyes. However you see in the spirit, whenever you are creatively thinking through your problems or coming up with solutions for your brand, remember that vision. What was it supposed to look like? What was the purpose that was given to you initially? What sparked this movement for your brand to come up to be the magnificence of what it has been today? What was that? What did you compromise in these years, throughout these years as you were building this brand, in favor of stability and money? What have you let the ball drop on because you didn't think it was possible, or because you got intimidated by your competitors and you wanted a better chance at succeeding? In what areas are you playing it safe? Now, once you remember who you are, you remember your purpose, and you remember your vision, I'm gonna give you a little strategy for alignment. The first part of the strategy is understanding that you are the neck of the brand, assuming that you are the founder, owner, and the lead visionary and strategist for the brand. You are the neck of the brand, period. You're the neck and you're the eyes. You may not be doing all the internal functions, which I would consider the brain or the mind of the brand, but you are the vision. You are the neck, and you are where the heart of the brand is located because it was birthed through you. If you turn your neck around, the whole body will follow. You have to make a commitment to turn. You have to make a commitment to not just turn, but to turn towards your purpose and to turn towards your vision. So the sight that you're looking at right now is what you initially were supposed to create, or the highest potential of what your brand can be. And once you commit to turning, you have to commit to that purpose and that vision that you're seeing, that you're feeling, that you're claiming that you want to embody. And at this point, you're in a perfect space, because what's next is to conduct a brand audit. I consider a brand audit a strategy because it really puts you on game as to who you are, where you're going, and where you've been. And it gives you a bird's eye view of all of that, so you can make strategic moves forward or backwards, depending on what you're doing, so that you can maximize your brand's potential. While you're conducting this audit, after you download my Spiritual Woman Founder's Guide to Brand Alignment, I take you through an audit process in that workbook that is linked down below for free. After you conduct that audit, you will find out and discover where you are, what your messaging is, what is your marketing strategy, who are you right now, who are your customers, who do you assume them to be. And you'll also remember, after turning your neck, you'll realize this is the vision that I have for my brand. This is the greatness that I would like for it to exude. This is what I have always wanted to do, and here's a gap. And once you recognize that gap, I consider that official grounding, because now you are understanding reality. You're no longer neglecting yourself because this business needs to work, or I'm just not where I need to be. Just need to grind to get it better and better. You're no longer feeling this weird twinge of misunderstanding and just discontentment because something just isn't sitting right with you in your brand. At this stage, you know exactly what is and what will be after we close this gap between your brand and the mirror image of what God showed you. After you do the audit, you're going to need to conduct or create a new brand strategy as your compass. Brand strategy is the compass for the entire brand, for your entire company. Odds are the brand strategy that you have now, or your lack thereof, does not hold up to the level of standard of what you're going to be overhauling in your brand and creating with this new vision that you've realized again. And after you've conducted or created your brand strategy, I would really like for you to move forward. We can stop at the grounding, but in this channel, my goal is for your brand to mirror the highest vision and your highest potential as a brand owner and as a company of itself. So after you ground yourself and you've done the audit and you created your brand strategy, you have to move forward unapologetically. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to make sense. There are certain things that have not existed yet. There are certain strategies that have never been strategized yet. There are certain innovations that are not on this earth currently because it sits within you. Therefore, you're going to have to come with an unapologetic nature about it, because you may not have the immediate affirmation or validation by looking at your competitors or asking a mentor or somebody who's been in the game for so long, because you are doing something that doesn't necessarily make sense. I can only imagine that your brand's highest potential doesn't make sense. I can assure you that Tesla didn't make sense, yet look at where it is today. And as you are moving forward unapologetically after your audit and creating your brand strategy, there are going to be a couple of threats to this journey and this process. The first one being the fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown is what I was just explaining. It's just not knowing, never being there before, or even just having to trust yourself. There's a lot of unknowns in trusting ourselves to do what has never been done before. And that's where you're going to have to really settle into flow. Flow is the language of the universe. I believe it's the natural hand of the Holy Spirit guiding us without us having to be in the know for everything. Sometimes along this journey, you're going to have to do things that just feel right. You may not be able to back it with your statistics. You might not be able to find the market research to justify it. But I'm telling you that if you can imagine it and you can vision it, and if it's something especially that God has spoken to you personally, you're not going to have proof, but you will have a knowing. And I always want to encourage creative entrepreneurs, spiritual founders, everyone to really start leaning and honing in on their own inner guide so much more, because we as a people, humans are the reason why the world is the way it is. And it is up for us to birth anything new to come into this world. Sometimes we're just going to have to be the one to go first, or we're going to be the only ones to do what we're doing. But I'm telling you, there's so much more that we can do outside of the confinements of what we've seen that has been done before. There is so much more that we can do creatively in our brands. And if you've watched my other videos on my channel, then you know my philosophy on branding and how I think that there's a distinct difference between a business and a brand. And when we're talking about the function and the entity of brand, there is a world that we can do with it. And I believe brands are the function through which purpose is orchestrated. So it's definitely easier to play it safe and to kind of be a bit more masculine in our approach to things. But when we learn to trust ourselves and we learn to trust the Holy Spirit, the universe, whatever, there is an element of flow that will guide you through this process. Another threat is loss of perceived stability and safety. Chaos, essentially. I have been learning for years now, about the function of chaos in the universe and God. I grew up Christian, so I was always told that God is not the God of disorder, or God is not a God of confusion. Right, God is not the God of confusion. However, I believe confusion is chaos a lot of times. I believe confusion is necessary at times. I don't believe that we should stay in a state of chaos or negative chaos, but positive chaos to me really is just the reassembling of atoms at a super molecular level. Things rearranging itself to create something new. A lot of times when I work with my clients to level up in their personal lives and to reimagine their brand as it is and to challenge them to go further with it, I'm often met with tears and a little bit of regret, maybe sadness, and just wanting to just take a step back, because it's a lot. There's a lot of things to unlearn. There's a lot of things to take a look at, and there's a lot of things that you have to see in yourself by nature of the work that I do with them and the work that they have been doing with me. And in those moments, I'm not at my desk doing competitor analyses. I'm not in their headquarters conducting interviews with their marketing team and talking to customers. But in those moments where I'm sitting down with the founder and I am getting to the very nature of who they are, so much comes unraveled that it's chaos. It's chaotic. It really is. It's chaotic, and it requires such a deep level of trust with me and them with themselves and them with God and the universe, because things are being undone. But I like to always say, to become, you have to unbecome. To be, you have to unbecome. And that requires an element of chaos. But if you trust yourself and you prioritize trusting yourself and you prioritize trusting the Holy Spirit, that flow will make things easier. That flow will be a reassurance. That'll be your validation as you maneuver yourself through this unbecoming to become process. Grounding yourself and launching yourself after that place of grounding is imperative for you as a spiritual woman founder of your product-based company. It's so important because the world does not need another one of the next brand that you admire or your greatest competitor, but we do need you. We need what you have to offer. And if you haven't heard it before, brands are so important, whether it be from personal brands to companies of product-based industries. What you do, the world revolves around, and it changes culture, it changes society, it changes our way of thinking, it changes education, everything. Don't forget, business is a pillar of, is a mountain of influence for a reason. And if you've been called to this, especially if you have been given an idea that is beyond you or it's something that you haven't seen before, it was meant to influence. That's why I always say the core tenet of a brand is impact. So before you leave this video, I would like for you to head to my description box and download my free guide, the Spiritual Woman Founder's Guide to Brand Alignment, so you can be taken through this grounding process in this guide outside of this video. And after you're done with that, I would love to see you in my mailing list, which will automatically be subscribed after download my guide. And I will be inviting you to certain containers and masterclasses and special offers that I have that will take you along the journey of actualizing your brand and aligning your brand with your highest vision. I would love to partner with you to do what has never been done before. And I would especially love to partner with you to walk with you through the journey and co-create with you a new world through our own purposes. Thank you for stopping by. I hope this video exceeded your expectations, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.